When we imagine the Regency era, we so often picture candlelit ballrooms, perfect manners, gleaming uniforms, and witty banter. But there is a film that insists on showing us the whole truth, the glamour and the horror side by side. That film is Waterloo, the 1970 epic directed by Sergei Bondarchuk. It is one of the few movies that captures the entire range of Regency life, from the polished floors of a grand ball to the smoke-choked chaos of the battlefield. And it is precisely in showing those contradictions, those scenes of dancing officers mere miles from the front, that Waterloo feels so authentic. Waterloo is a film that does not flinch from the scale of war. Thousands of real soldiers were used to recreate the sweeping armies of Napoleon and Wellington. When you see the lines of infantry advancing or the cavalry surging across open fields, you believe it. You feel the discipline, the terror, the deadly beauty of Napoleonic warfare. The smoke, the mud, the cannon fire that obliterates formations. It is all there in crushing detail. But the film is just as committed to showing us the world those soldiers came from. Before the battle even begins, there are ballroom scenes that feel lifted straight from Austen. Officers in gleaming dress uniforms bow to ladies in delicate gowns. Chandeliers sparkle overhead. Conversations are filled with politeness, carefully couched insults, and the easy arrogance of men trained from youth to think themselves masters of the world. There is music, laughter, and always the sense that everyone is trying to ignore what is waiting for them just beyond the windows. This juxtaposition is not just cinematic flair, it is truth. The Regency elite really did hold balls on campaign. Officers really did dance and flirt and drink fine wine the night before they led charges that would kill them by the hundreds. The film makes this clear in one of its most striking sequences. As the music swells in the ballroom, the camera cuts to the distant fields where soldiers dig trenches and drag artillery through mud. The laughter and the marching drums overlap in the soundtrack. It is chilling because it is honest. Waterloo understands that the Regency was a world built on this tension. The very same men who worried about the correct way to address a lady were also expected to kill or die for their country. The film never lets us forget that the rigid social codes of the time were not just quaint, they were mechanisms of control. Honor, duty, and class were not abstractions. They were rules enforced with steel and blood. Christopher Plummer's Wellington embodies that perfectly. He is elegant, cold, brilliant. He trades barbs with his officers over dinner and then matter-of-factly orders them into lethal battle formations. He is not inhuman, but he is unflinching. You see him at the ball, perfectly in command of his manners, and on the battlefield, perfectly in command of the slaughter. He knows exactly what his duty demands, and he does it without flinching, but he wishes it were not so, regretting the inhumanity of war and the loss of men under his command. It is the Regency Code taken to its logical conclusion. Opposite him is Rod Steiger's Napoleon, whose performance is all grandiosity and fatigue. He knows he is a man out of time, fighting for a dream that has already begun to die. In the ballroom, he can play the emperor, dazzling with his charisma. But on the battlefield, the cost of his ambition is unmistakable. Steiger gives us a Napoleon who is both regal and crumbling, aware that every formal salute hides mutiny and defeat. The attention to historical detail in Waterloo is astonishing. The uniforms are immaculate in the ballroom scenes, their colors and braids so precise you can trace regimental histories in every button. On the battlefield, those same uniforms become grimy, torn, bloodied. The film refuses to sanitize either world. It shows them inextricably linked. You cannot have the glamour without the cost. And that is the genius of Waterloo as a Regency depiction. It does not just give us war in isolation or courtly manners without consequence. It shows how they feed each other. The aristocratic codes of honor demanded that young men learn to dance gracefully and fight fearlessly. The same officers who plotted battle formations on maps also wrote letters home describing elegant soirees and country estates they hoped to inherit. This was the world Austen knew, a world she depicts obliquely through worried letters from the militia or vague talk of commissions. Waterloo puts that subtext front and center. One of the most haunting images in the film is a ballroom floor that seems to blur into the churned mud of the battlefield. It is not a literal shot, but an effect created through cutting and sound design. The music of the dance fades into the thunder of cannon fire. Officers who were smiling at partners now lie dead in the dirt. The film forces us to see that these are not two separate worlds, but one. There is no romantic subplot in Waterloo, no gentle confession of love, but it is still deeply Regency in its sensibility. It is about honor and pride and fatalism. It is about men shaped from birth to see war as a duty and glory, even as it destroys them. And it is about an entire generation forced to reckon with the cost of those ideals. If you want to understand the Regency period in full, you cannot stop at the drawing rooms. You have to see the battlefield. Waterloo delivers both. It gives us the candlelit balls, the brilliant uniforms, the impeccable manners, and then it strips them away to reveal the mud, the blood, and the staggering human cost beneath. It is not a romantic film in the usual sense, but it is honest. It shows us a world that was beautiful and brutal in equal measure, a world where elegance and slaughter existed side by side. And for that reason, Waterloo remains one of the most authentic, haunting, and essential depictions of the Regency era ever put on film. Until next time, keep your petticoats pressed and your hearts in peril.